What's up, everybody? This is Joseph R. Wheeler III, the artist, the founder, and the president of the ONYXCON Foundation. And I'm so happy to bring y'all some very new, totally original content as a part of what we call our ONYXCON Fitness. Now, as you know, ONYXCON Fitness, when we say fitness, we mean mind, body, and soul. We're not just talking about going to the gym. Of course, we still talking about going to the gym. We're not just talking about bodybuilders. Yes, we feature bodybuilder content and all that kind of stuff. Check out our Instagram, ONYXCON Fitness. But I'm talking about everything from the way you live your life to what you put in your body to what you're a fan of, a friend of. And that's what I'm here to talk about today with one of my number ones, who's a total sports fan. And my man, from the place where I dwell, this is one of my day ones. We're going to give him a multiplicitous alias names, you know what I'm saying? Because we grew up hip hop like that, so we can't help it. So it's going to be like, hey, he's the day one. He's the number one Falcon fan. He's Mr. Rise Up. All right, we're going to call him that. That's all y'all need to know. Rise Up, how you feeling today, my brother?
Facts, good, man. Appreciate being here with you, Joe, man. Love what you're doing with the concept.
By the way, this man got the right to call me Joe. I like to let folks know. Anybody who call me Joe, you better know they went all the way back with me because everybody can't do that. My name is Joseph. Okay, and I stress that for those who don't understand it. It's like, but this man is 100,000%. So he can do that. You know what I mean? Just know that. Okay. Yes, sir. My man. So tell him a little bit without getting too deep about why you're such a sports fan. Because what I know about you, I know you've been a referee. I know you've always been you've been on the sidelines in many ways at games. All the way back to us knowing each other back in the day in high school and everything. And you just always been that dude, man. Whenever I've always said I'm a casual fan of mainstream sports. Like I keep up just enough that it coincides with my love as an artist for the logos, the colors, the mascots. That's always been me. I'm first about that. I always say with the Falcons, whether they win or lose, we look good, damn it. We always look good. They fresh as hell. So it's like, yes, exactly. so I'm first on that tip. But when I was a diehard fan, I'm talking back high school days, the last time I remembered athletes' names was like Rocket Ismail for Notre Dame. That was my era.
You going back on that one, bro?
Bro, that's literally where I leave off for being totally excited about any athlete on the field. That was as far as football goes. So like when I need to know stats, when I need to know what's popping and be specific, I either holler at my dad or I holler at you. So that's why we starting this content, so that for the casual fan like me or the hardcore fan like you, they can get that other perspective and it adds more to what ONYXCON is all about. Because let's face it, athletes coincide with hip hop. Hip hop and all that is a part of comic book culture. Comic book culture, it all spreads out, it all relates. This is why I'm always saying ONYXCON is a lifestyle. So it's not just one thing. And the more we grow, I'm trying to get my audience to understand, you love all this stuff anyway. We just showing you how it ties together. You feel?
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned your dad, Joe, because for me, sports fandom has a lot to do with how we're socialized, right? Like, I got really attached to sports because my older brother was really into sports. My dad wasn't really into sports. His dad was really into sports. It's interesting. Like I'll take you back for a second. So I was born and raised here in the A, just like you, right?
By the way, I just want to say, so people won't say he's so unprofessional. We both eating and drinking up in this one. If anybody wants some fish and chips, here you go. So that's fresh off the pond. Got them yesterday, Oh, we ain't advertising. They need to pay up. Anyway.
Yep.
Yes, sir, but go for it.
So so take you back for a quick second, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised here in the A, just like a lot of people of our generation, right?
Yep.
My parents aren't, right? My parents are from Pittsburgh. Their parents and so on and so forth, right? So you go back far enough, we're out of the African diaspora, right? And so in this country, many of us, if not most of us, have our roots in the South. So Georgia, South Carolina, that's where our people are from.
Mm-hmm.
But just like, again, a lot of our forefathers looking for a better life, they migrated north. So my family ended up in Pittsburgh. So, mom, dad, like I said, extended family, all, Steelers fans, Pirates fans.
I was about to say, did you have to get into all that? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where I spent every summer till I was 12, going to Pirates games and learning.
Bro, I didn't even know that. Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Every summer until I was 12, man, up in Pittsburgh. So going to Pirates game, learning the mechanics of the game, balls and strikes, how it's called, this, that, and the third. The biggest thing, though, I think that really inspired me to be a sports fan and to be as fanatical as about it as I am today. My grandmother, who I was very close with, she grew up in the house with us, and just learned, man, a multitude of things from her, man. How to cook, how to clean, how to walk, how to fold clothes, how to sew, how to play cards. I mean, you're talking about a brilliant Black woman who spoke fluent French.
Oh my God!
And had a master's degree in the 1940s. Okay.
Right. Now, this is your dad's mom on that side?
My mother's mother.
Mother's mother. Okay.
Mother's mother, right?
Both of your parents are from up there, though.
Correct. Both of my parents born in Pittsburgh, along with their siblings, right?
Bro, I'm getting an education today. Sankofa, for real.
Facts. All good. All good. And so let me backtrack for a second. What brought us back south was my father's work. You know what I mean? He worked in sales and he traveled a lot, right? So he worked for Lever Brothers, in regional sales management, and later for Polaroid. And that's, it moved around from New York to Detroit to, Houston, and ultimately to Atlanta, which is where they settled, right? It was where the opportunity was and so forth. So that's the root of my fandom. I'm a loyal cat, man. If we flip it, to the corporate aspect for a minute, and this is, the same in anything, academia, athletics, law, medicine, corporate America, the arts, the sciences. It's a very similar construct about, I think, what the expectations are. And the expectation is that you be a team player, right? All these metaphors come from sports. And so, again, it's always been natural for me, but I'm a loyal cat. I'm from here, and I'm a root for here, right? Until I'm no longer drawing a breath of life, man. So anyway, back to my grandma. She bought me a subscription to Inside Sports when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and bro, it changed my life, bro. I used to read, that magazine, every issue, cover to cover, multiple times. I could, recite a chapter and verse, and so that's what kind of helped me understand, how sports operated, both the game and the game within the game. You know what I'm saying? And so, for people who aren't naturally sports fans, you might turn on a football game and say, oh, what's going on? I can't follow it. That ability to do that really impacts, I think, your ability to enjoy the game. I think on an emotional level, you can enjoy it and get into it, right? It's just, hey, my team did well, but just all those little things, man. And that's where that's the nuance and the obsession. That's where it comes from, man. Following them in the off season, player moves, who's getting hired, who's getting fired, managing the salary cap, the organizational culture, who's the owner, what are they about, how do they, go about their decision making process. All of that impacts the product that you end up seeing on the field. So,
absolutely, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. But wow, what an intro! Thank you.
Yep.
Rise Up is in the house, y'all. So, so check it. Out of all the sports you mentioned, you said, you definitely mentioned baseball. You gave allude to football. What are your favorites? What do you diehard follow out of all the sports?
Both of those for sure.
Okay.
Basketball, primarily the NBA.
Okay.
Golf, the PGA Tour.
Okay.
Tennis.
You play too, right? You play
absolutely. Yeah. But, occasionally the pandemic kind of took that off the off the dance card. But like example, I'll give you a little bit more history here. Yeah. So in the 70s, back when Arthur Ashe was popular, and for young folks today who don't know Arthur Ashe,
tennis legend. Yeah.
Look that up, right? Look that up. You're talking about a modern day Black pioneer.
That's right.
But that sort of that fervor around Ashe and his popularity caused a lot of Black families to play tennis in the 70s. My family was one of them. So we grew up taking tennis. You know what I'm saying? I went to tennis camp at Washington Park, in the city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And, and played for our high school, of course. So I still follow the game. Yeah. And I'll say this also, because this is relevant to, I think, any field. Representation is key, bro. So, if I'm a young person, whatever my persuasion, right? Black, white, purple, polka dot. If I can look on a TV, on a small screen, big screen, see myself, I can picture myself there. And that helps me in terms of my, my dreams, my aspiration, my goal setting. I can picture myself in the place. So for young, we weren't just Arthur Ashe didn't leave us and not leave a legacy in his wake. We got, Venus and Serena and James Blake, and now Francis Tiafoe, all of these, outstanding, on the golf side, Tiger Woods and others that are coming up behind him, Cameron Champ and Harold Varner III. So I'm saying there are, legions and classes behind these pioneers, man, to continue the culture. And again, awaken that interest without people like you and me, fans that follow the game, follow the activity. And again, it's relevant to anything, TV, movies, the arts. Without consumers, what's the value of a producer? Straight up, brother. Yeah, man, I love the way you put that. I mean, that's how I feel about, when you talk about the representation, that's why I feel so strongly about even adding in the ONYXCON fishing tournament. Because even though we're not a formal tournament in the way of what most people think of when they think of fishing tournaments and people consider it a sport, my personal philosophy is I don't look at fishing as a sport in any way. I always say, when you're involving, I say for something to be a sport, you have to have two willing opponents. So for me to look at the fish like it's willing and all I'm doing is trying to trick it into eating something or trick it into something about its nature that makes it want to bite, that's not what I look at that as. I honor it. I still honor the process. And it goes all the way back to my ancient African comedic roots. That's the first hooks and rods and reels anglers of the world, period. So, I mean, it's all part of us, but I'm saying, until you understand, I understand why people made it a sport. I understand how much money's in it. And therefore, it's hard to budge that title at this point. So I still give homage to all the Black anglers who are out there doing it. But just for the recreational guy or the person who fishes for the meal and the thrill, you feel me? Yep. I'm always reminding people, this is the beginning. This is the original reason to do it. And then after that, again, very practical origins, right? We all got to eat.
That's right. And show it to people, like you said, because it builds kids into men, young ladies and young, boys and girls that grow up to do exactly what you're saying because of one magazine or just seeing that image of Arthur Ashe. Like, that's what I'm hoping and I'm knowing is going to happen when somebody finally sees what I've been doing with everything. It's easily provable because you think about it, right? Yeah. You start with the basics: food, clothing, and shelter. Number one being the food, right? Before there was ever a supermarket, we had to go get it. We had to hunt. We had to gather. We would buy the water. Guess what? We're going to get a fish up out of there, and cultivate what we need for the nutrients, right? Not just the flesh, but the other, parts that are useful. So not to go too deep on that, but the point is, that is central to life. So the folks of color, folks that look like us, continuing on with fishing as a passion and a recreation, like you say, it's practical. I can eat it, but I also have a great sense of enjoyment and a sense of stillness when I'm out there on the water, right? Like you can look at the commercialization of something like bass fishing, right? The pro tour and everything, as a, nothing wrong with it necessarily, but juxtapose that with what I was saying about the basic, human survival need versus the need for ego gratification and the, display of these sorts of things, right? Capitalism and, commercialism and exploitation and all these other things. So got to have some balance there. There it is, man. There it is. So speaking of all these different things, going back to now, did you ever play? Did you ever get into any sports other than the tennis and the golf? Mostly played Little League baseball and, like I said, tennis in high school, right? So, in the neighborhood, we played everything depending on the season. If you had a ball, a bat, a stick, a base, some dirt, we were out there doing it. I mean, playing soccer with no net, basketball with no goal. That tree over there is the base, and listen, I tell people, Joe, in terms of, growing up poor, like many of us did, right? If you've ever had nothing, you appreciate something, man. So it's the simple things in life that, you garner enjoyment from. I ain't got to go see the Hawks to enjoy basketball. I can go down to the rec or down to the park, man, and I could participate or just observe and enjoy, man. So there's all types of, like I said, I think pleasure to be enjoyed or derived in life from these things that we follow. It's just a matter of what level do you want to, engage at it, right? Do I want to buy a ticket to the Falcons or do I want to own the team, right? Both are possible. Ooh. It's just a level of investment. That's what's up, man. So, I think we've definitely given the audience enough of where your headspace is, and they know the level of individual I will be doing this with as regular as we can get you to step aside from your very busy schedule and give it to us. But with this being a weekend right now, and of course games are going on this fall, it's cold out there this morning. I was like, ooh, it's for real now.
Brother, the hawk is out. Scowl!
Straight up, bro. Straight up. So like, how do who are you paying most attention to in football right now? You can give me college and pro, but especially pro, and let me know who you see, aside from fandom. Let's just be honest, we ain't gonna, you can always root for the Hunter, but like, how realistically do you see the Falcons stacking up? How realistically do you see other teams stacking up? And as people love to give those predictions, who do you think has really got a chance at the Super Bowl this year, or even playoffs?
So let me give you kind of an expansive answer, right? And this is relative to us here in the A, of course, right? Mm-hmm. I was having a conversation the other day with someone, and I was explaining to them, it was almost like, how do you continue to root for them? How do you continue to be a Falcons fan? It's like, hey, this is in you. This is part of your DNA, right? For the longest time, winning was nowhere in that Falcon DNA, right? You would have, Joe, consider this. Mm-hmm. It took the Falcons over 35 years to have back-to-back winning seasons. Okay, ponder that for a second. From their inception in 1966 until Jim Mora coached the team in the early part of the 2000s and Vic's heyday, never experienced back-to-back winning seasons, right? So that's no winning tradition. That's not the Yankees, right? Or the old football giants and all this. It's and it's you can play that out and apply it to really anything that revolves around Georgia sports, because many think we're cursed, right? The amount of times the Falcons choked, blown the Super Bowl and other winnable big games. Right. Let's take the Braves for an example, right? There you go. One of the reasons the Braves have so many fans, and it's sort of like the Cowboys in football, it's very ingenious. When Ted Turner owned the team, he also owned TBS, quote unquote, the superstation, right? So the proliferation of cable television, he made sure, hey, I have this product. Here's some built-in content. I'm gonna blast this all over the country. And for people that's got an antenna, like I say, or satellite dish or getting cable TV, you were seeing the Braves no matter how bad they were. Again, abominable for the most part since they moved to Atlanta until they won the NL West in the early 80s, back when Joe Torre was managing, came in second. They fired him, and then they were basically god awful until 91 when they had that big turnaround with that Braves dynasty we know. But Joe, among 14 division titles in a row, you only got one World Series championship. Okay.
Well, real quickly, I would say, going back to, I remember being in high school, and when I was a little less true woke, people have messed up that word these days, but the original meaning of woke, y'all, what black folk used to say to each other when we knew what the hell it really meant. Okay. Anyway, before I was truly woke, and I can remember being in class in high school, and we were doing the tomahawk chop and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
And then I realized, I said, wait a minute, this is all screwed up, man. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of my native ancestry that I'm not fully aware of. Like, I can't name the tribe exact. I can't for sure say, but I've always known that there's a direct link, and there's, that family stories told and everything. So why would I insult these people that are part of me? Like, literally, I always say, if you ever want to insult a part of you, it'd be like looking in the mirror after being bit by a vampire. You're going to disappear. Like, parts of you going to start, that ain't you? Oh, yeah, part of you going to just start fading because you disrespecting the ancestors. So that's why even when I wear anything Braves, I only wear the A, because all I ever want to rep is Atlanta, just ATL, where I'm from. I ain't trying to rep that. I ain't trying to disrespect that weapon, for something that was used to fight against the oppression of Native people. And then you're going to turn around and make it a mascot. It's like, I can't get with that shit. So I always say that's going to be their downfall until they change it. And I was one of the people I'm proud to say online, because I started seeing more people saying it. I say, in honor of Hank Aaron, why not? It's simple. It's right there in your face. You got Home Depot as a sponsor. Turn it into the Atlanta Hammers for Hammer and Hank, and have a hammer. And I'll hammer all day. I will swing the hammer all day. But I ain't doing no tomahawk chopping. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I think that's one example of a curse that I think is real, even though they overcame it a little bit. I mean, that's beautiful. They won. They got that one World Series, like we know, but can you keep it going? That's the thing.
It's a perfect current event topic, Joe. that's not going to fully go away until that imagery is eradicated. And I can tell you, like example, different franchises, both college and pro, the way they have approached their interaction, their relationship with the native indigenous Americans is all over the map, right? From the sublime to the ridiculous. Example, you look at the Washington football team, they were very indignant for the longest about not changing their name until they had accumulated so much bad press that they basically had no choice, right? And ended up on the Commanders, which, that speaks for itself. I mean, come on. But like example, Florida State in football, right? They have retained a relationship for decades with the Seminole tribe. In other words, so when they have the Seminole warrior come out on the horse, with the burning spear and everything, that's their opportunity for that tribe to express itself in its customary ways, right? Not that it's a reenactment or a bastardization of something that is, right? And it's something similar with the Braves. Of course, they had as a mascot Chief Nakahoma, which in itself is kind of a slur, right? It's sort of so they got rid of that imagery, that iconography, and everything, and have definitely de-emphasized the chop since the early 90s, right? I mean, you'll go to the game and hear it occasionally, but it's not something that's put on the forefront. So they have a much better product on the field. But I say all of this to say there is a permanent and indelible intersection between sports and the greater culture, right? So you can never extract the two. So there's no such thing as, we've been the Redskins for years and that's what we're going to be. Our fans love it. Okay, that's fine. But a big portion of your fan base may be native indigenous people, and they would love to be able to root for you without reservation, without hesitation, right? So let's again, you look at Cleveland, right? The Indians. Oh my gosh. Just the name, the iconography, etc. So that movement gained enough traction, that they changed their name to the Guardians and so forth. Again, and are continuing to enjoy success. And it's a great opportunity for a sports franchise, an organization as a collective to do something for social good and intentionally have a positive relationship with these different facets of your fan base. Okay, so all of that is a positive.
That's right. So I mean, we went on a good tangent, even though I'm good for tangents, but that was a great one. But man, what about the rest of what you were saying in terms of you talking about Atlanta teams, but and after you drop those, like I was saying, what other teams do you see really making it
for bringing back? Bring it back, right? The fact that the Bulldogs finally got over the hump in January, won the national championship for the first time in over 40 years, got off the schneid. Same with the Braves. Last year, won the World Series for the first time in 26 years. It feels like the worm is turning. And pretty much all of our local teams are in the process or the beginning stages of some sort of renaissance, right? Even Georgia Tech in football, who was down, replaced the coach, get a big win. And you can see the momentum starting to changing. And see, that's the thing, right?
Okay.
Like I said, you can't extract sports or athletics from the overall culture. So the way you lead and manage those organizations, no different than you need to do a corporation, a church, a university, a hospital, a law firm, a restaurant, whatever, right? You need empowered decision makers, right, who have the best interests and are stewards of that culture, right, to put forth a successful product in a responsible way, not winning at all costs, right, winning in a way that's sustainable, that can be regenerated. And again, a lot of that is your interaction with all facets, like I said, of your fan base. So back to the micro of these teams. The Falcons are relevant. Okay, they won't be in the Super Bowl this year, but they're on the uptick, and if they stay on that path, they can get there, right? The Braves in baseball won it all, swept the Mets last weekend, took the division, and have a breather. They have some downtime. They can get healthy, set their starting lineup, etc. And if not the favorites to win the World Series, they're like 1B or 1C behind teams like the Dodgers and the Astros, right? Who seem to have all facets of their game clicking. Same with UGA. Sent 5 defensive starters to the NFL first round, first time that had ever happened, right? And didn't have to rebuild, they reloaded. In certain aspects, their defense looks as good or better than they did last year. So they'll be in the mix along with Bama, along with Ohio State, and et cetera. So back to the NFL, right? There's a fascinating, sort of arms race going on, and that all revolves around who your quarterback is, right? Like I know, Lamar Jackson is one of your favorites, right? And the difference between winning and contending or being run of the mill and losing in the NFL comes down to who your signal caller is, right? So, you look at the Falcons, they're winning now in spite of the fact that they don't have a top shelf quarterback any longer. We had Matt Ryan for 14 seasons. Yeah, 14 seasons. Did a yeoman's effort, took us to a Super Bowl and should have won 1, if not 2. And so now we're, again, you're in a spot where you have to find that weapon again. And that's that rising tide that lifts all boats, because here's back to looking at the situation holistically, right? It's not just what Lamar brings on the field. It's what he can inspire in his teammates. Quarterback is going to automatically be the leader. So if you have a shitty leader, you're going to have a shitty product and ultimately a shitty team and a shitty record, right? So somebody like a Lamar, the players that are on the team, they want to raise their games because they don't want to be seen as lacking in his eyes, right? Lamar's getting there to the facility at 5 a.m. Guess what? I'm going to be there at 5 a.m. or 4:45. He's staying till 8. I'm going to stay till 8 or 8:15, and I'm going to rinse and repeat throughout the season. Off season, I'm taking care of myself. I'm training. I'm weight training. I have a nutritionist, a stretching person, a masseuse, whatever. In some sense, if I'm the athlete, my body, that I am my product, right? So I need to cultivate and refine everything I do to put, and again, add those pieces together, all 53 men on an NFL roster, you really got something, right? But I'm saying, even players that aren't on that team, they look at a Lamar, right? They look at a Patrick Mahomes, they look at a Josh Allen, or a Justin Herbert, and say, wow, I would love to play with a guy like that. Historically, Tom Brady, right? Players will accept less money for the opportunity to be in that star's orbit and hitch themselves to it and take a ride. If it can get me to a ring, I'm with it.
Word.
The chip is the dip, man. That's it.
I love it. I love it. Rise Up gonna give you the words every time. You're gonna get some slang that you're gonna remember here. Yeah.
Hashtag facts.
We're gonna take a break on that one. So, we're back again. That was a little brief break. You see how I had to flip the hat on y'all because he mentioned them, so I got to shout out number 8. Let me tell y'all something. When I said I was a casual football fan, when I say if it were not for my dad telling me, have you seen this boy, Lamar? I said, who's that? Lamar Jackson, man. No, it's just look him up. And I went and found about 3 or 4 or 5 YouTube highlight reels all the way back from him in high school. I was like, what is this? Who is this? What? Is this a human? Like, He did what? How did he?
Let me give you some game on him. So, a few interesting things about Lamar, because if you step back, if you zoom out for a second, right, his success and what he's achieved on the field and his, to this point, even now, very brief career, is mind-boggling. I'm talking about Joe as a third-year player, because I want to say he was drafted in 17, but either way, in 2019, the man was unanimous MVP of the league, and that almost never happens. It actually might have been the second season. I have to go back and check. Unanimous MVP of the league. It almost never happens, even for white established quarterbacks like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. I'm saying Lamar was it, right? And so here's the deal. When Lamar was drafted, Okay, and a similar thing happened with Michael Vick, and this, it becomes a kind of a broken record when it comes to black quarterbacks. Lamar lit it up at Louisville, right? Won the Heisman and the whole bit. You still get questions. Oh, is he really a quarterback? I mean, should they change him to running back? I mean, can he find an open man? Can he go through his progressions? They never want to credit the black or brown person with the right intellectual. It's always got to be this, right? The brawn, rarely the brain. So Lamar came in, right, and he wasn't immediately the starter. He was inserted, right, because Joe Flacco, who had won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, was still the incumbent, right? So Lamar comes in, they insert him. It gives them a spark immediately, right? His feet, his arm got them to the playoffs. They got into the playoffs and lost. They got upset. I want to say it was the Chargers that beat them that year, and they kind of exposed where Lamar was on the developmental curve, which, by the way, that is no indictment. Okay. When Peyton Manning was a rookie in the NFL, he set the record basically for interceptions thrown. It's an exceedingly difficult game to master at that level and at that position. Right. So it had nothing to do with him being black. He's green, right? He's new.
Right.
Joe, over the summer, Lamar goes back into the lab, revamps his game, and I'm saying came off the gates and won the MVP of the league the next year unanimously. Where does that occur? Okay. And let me real quick. Look, yeah, straight up. Lamar represents the hopes and the dreams of little black kids and little brown kids and even little white kids, right? If you're so inclined, okay. And here's something. No matter
how they came up, because you're seeing somebody who, like you say, man, only children especially think outside the box. And if you can maintain that as you get older, to not say, oh, I'm a quarterback, so I'm always supposed to throw. No, I'm not going, hey, if ain't nobody open, I'm gonna run it. I got these legs for a reason. And he's not the first to do it. Shout out to Cam Newton. But it's the fact that the way he did it and the level he took it to, good gosh almighty, man, he's redefined the whole league. Everybody doing it now. Everybody got a running game for their quarterback.
And let me make it really real for you. Okay. Lamar, his mother was his first football coach and first teacher. Shout out to Mrs. Lamar, Mama Lamar. Okay. Oh, because wow. Joe, she didn't just teach Lamar, she taught the whole neighborhood how to ball. And from where they're from in South Florida, brother, man, football is a religion. You can forget church on Sunday. It's rec ball on Friday, Thursday.
Yeah.
High school ball Friday night. Lights. Right?
Lights, right.
Brother, that area of the country in terms of being a hotbed for athletic talent, unsurpassed, and Lamar comes out of that. So I'm saying he represents the best of that ilk, which has dominated college and the pros for decades. Okay, and here's another tidbit that has nothing to do with football per se, but it's adjacent, right?
Word.
Lamar is no dummy. He represents himself. He has no agent. Okay, his mother. Correct. His mother advises him, right, in terms of directionally and in terms of the financials and the intricacies of the salary cap. He gets counsel from the NFL Players Association, like all players do. But right now, Lamar is, basically his deal is up for renewal or renegotiation, right? So he set the precedent. He said, look, I'll negotiate up until this current season starts. Once it does, I'm about ball. We can deal with it after. So Lamar made a very calculated bet on himself that through, what is this, week 5, paying off. And on the word, and on speaking of paying, you got to pay the man. Come on. You got to pay the man.
That's right. I mean, I haven't been keeping up with that part of it. Are they doing him right in Baltimore? I mean, obviously he's there for a reason.
Well, so here's the deal, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't come to an agreement before the season. So I guess it's debatable how right they're doing them, right? Because you see lesser caliber of athlete, lesser caliber quarterback, lesser caliber of player get locked up for longer years sooner. Now, the whole Deshaun Watson activity over the summer had a ripple effect, right? The Falcons' interest in Deshaun Watson is the reason Matt Ryan is no longer here, because he's right. Hey, you're gonna play footsie with him. send me on my way. I'll go find another team I can play with, right? And it's the same with Lamar in a different sense. Deshaun got a $230 million fully guaranteed contract from the Browns. Has never happened in football before. It was such an outlier as a precedent. Teams want players to look away from that. Like, no, we're not going to do that. Again, Lamar's like, hey, I've done everything Deshaun has done in the league and more. Deshaun ain't won no MVP. I won one unanimously. So cut the check.
Cut the check.
That's where the impasse is.
Yes, sir. Yes, I love that. Well, I always, that's the other part of it. Like you said, the game, I always use that phrase, the game behind the game. I always say, man, look, one of the main reasons I stopped watching so hard was because I started figuring that part out. And it took the fandom out of me. It made me not want to care as much anymore. And to just keep it more on the someone else might think of it as superficial, but I always say, being an artist, there's nothing superficial about this, you know what I mean? The logos and all that. But, I do keep up with the players when I hear about one like Lamar. I will try to follow that as best I can. And I definitely know that, he's probably going to move on. And whoever that is, depending on what team it is, if there's somebody that, I don't like for whatever weird reason, bro, that would be amazing. That would be too much. It would be
Put it out there.
It would be...
Put it out there.
Bro, if he can't, man, that's about as serious as how everybody was excited about the possibility of Kaepernick getting respected and brought back into the league, and everybody always wanted him to be on the Falcons.
And Joe, imagine, so again, yourself to this day, you go down to Mercedes, maybe not this week, but the next time there's a home game, you're going to see a slew of Vic jerseys. The man has not played here in over 15 years. In over 15 years, and Vic, his name and number, his image and his playmaking ability are still ringing bells.
That's right.
Vic was past. Lamar is now. Yeah. Picture him in this market, galvanizing this team in this city.
Will never be the same. I know that would be it right there. Literally, that would be it. I mean, the last time I got hype of anybody saying anything like that, like I said, was when people were talking about Kaepernick's possibility, but. You bring Lamar to Atlanta, you trade one dirty bird for the other dirty bird. I mean, I'm just saying,
And let me just say, we're gonna need to do an all Kaepernick pod at some point. But let me just say real quick, they have besmirched this man's name something unbelievable. I'm saying, for somebody who only ever tried to stand up and speak and give voice and do the right thing. Okay. And so if it's like, well, if I can't attack his message or cause socially, let me disparage his playing ability, or he was garbage. The hell he was. Cap took him to the Super Bowl and within a few yards, one score of winning one, and took him to multiple playoff appearances. His last season in the league, he threw 16 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. Sounds pretty good to me, right?
That's damn good.
Joe, this is the sixth consecutive season Cap has not been on the field, and he has stayed in football shape the entire time. The last time Cap was under center in the NFL was the year the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, 2016.
Wow. Man, it's so serious, bro. All these weird politics that get involved, and like you say, it's so ridiculous because I know, straight up, and it's like you've ruined this man's career, but at the same time, you created this this cloaked new image of the league that you are respecting everything he was trying to make known. Like suddenly, we understood, we heard you. Then, okay, well, if you heard it, then bring the man who started the whole argument back. I mean, it would do nothing but make your shit more official. Straight up, it would make you more what you say you want to be. Like you, since y'all all about money, do you understand how much money you would make if you brought back Kaepernick? Like that dude would be the face of the league. And yeah, I know he's smart enough to, he's never going to just totally, from the person I've seen him to be, he's never going to totally bow down to your mess. But he knows how to keep his mouth closed in the right room and still play the game, but say something when he needs to.
But you nailed it, right? Their decisions so in other words, whatever room in which it was decided we're gonna blackball Colin Kaepernick, he's gonna be excommunicado from the league. That decision was not data driven, it was emotional. You cannot convince me otherwise, right? No. You're dealing with a plantation mentality. And if one of my field hands doesn't want to get in line, he got to go. I don't care, right? I can't have that inspiring my other field hands. I need that influence gone and silenced. That's why they went after Nike. When after years, Nike revealed the joint marketing campaign with Collins. Suddenly, you resent them, right, as a brand, as an image, because you're not falling in line with, the broader context of this nationalism and white supremacy and so on and so forth. So we ain't wearing Nike no more. We're gonna wear Under Armour.
Right. So and then if you look at, did you see that documentary? I know you've seen it. Deion Sanders documentary about how he played both sports at the same time.
100%.
Dude. But it was in that documentary how he showed what he went through with the coaches and especially that one coach in baseball, I think it was, that gave him all the hell. And it was like, really? Like, after everything you did for the Braves and everything you did for all these teams, like,
can't understand a young black man that has swag, that's not only superb and supreme in their field, again, athletically, but in terms of marketing, brand awareness. I know what I bring to the table. I know how much money I'm making for you. Therefore, I can calculate how much of that I deserve, right? I'm entitled to. And I'm saying Deion was doing it for two major pro franchises, different sports, in the same day.
It's crazy, man.
Play a baseball game.
Yeah, and fly out.
And show up in the other. Or actually play for the Falcons on Sunday, take a chopper and play for the Braves in the evening. Who has ever done that in recorded history? Ever. It's loony, bro. It's totally loony. And so, oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I ain't gonna hold you much longer, bro. I think this makes a hell of a first episode. I know true fans of sports and true fans of everything ONYXCON are gonna love this, and I'm hoping I want y'all to respond appropriately. We need the likes. We need this thing to go viral. Let's make this one of the first true viral videos on the YouTube channel. This has been my main man, my day one. We're gonna call him Rise Up, as I say. And listen, Joe, there's more where this came from, brother. We've got to get into it, and the lens that we come at it from, right? I talked about representation. We can be representative of your audience as well, right? And the things they want discussed. If they're not talking about it on ESPN or Fox News because it's not expedient for them to do so, come to ONYXCON Fitness. We got you. That's right. There it is, y'all. My main man. Thank you, bro. Yes. Usa. Yes, sir. Woo. Yes, sir. All right, fam. All right, fam. One.